Hello, I'm Julia Cordova. Thank you so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel and liking my videos. So I almost didn't want to do one today because yesterday I had the pleasure of interviewing Uncle Rico, a hedge fund manager, and we talked about how he is playing this election, what he expects to have happen. And rather than do an introduction to this video, and even like if you only have 30 minutes, that's the video to watch. I'm gonna make this quick, but I'll tell you what my plan is as I'm doing this. So let's get started, all right? This is exciting. All right, here we go. All right, so let's start off by looking at ES or SPX weekly futures. So last week was a big down week. We are below the ambulance line. And actually, even though the price action, I seemed very bearish to most, what we still have here, if you kind of squint your eyes and look, is you see how I don't know what people are talking about with a cup and a handle and whatever, but anyway, you see how we have a lower high here. Currently, we also have a higher low. Now, that doesn't mean that price can't travel down to this ambulance line, even though it's below ambulance RSI. It's actually right below this dotted support on the close. But it certainly doesn't mean that even if price does go to this ambulance line, that wouldn't still be bullish overall, right? I mean, what looks like a pennant now or a triangle could easily turn into, and it doesn't have to go all the way down here, by the way, but it could easily turn into a bull flag. So we'll be watching for that this week on the weekly. As far as price goes, because we closed a little bit lower than this previous low, even though RSI is a lot lower, that's still okay to me. That's still fine. Actually, what that does, because it's still, it's ever so slightly above the midline here, it really just resets RSI in some way, so that if we were to go up, that we could actually go a lot more up than even we might expect. But anyway, these are the weekly pivots that I'm watching for next week. The ambulance is 3101, and on the high side, if it happens, is 3670. Okay, let's look at daily. Wow. Okay, so we did get to that finish line. If you remember, I was saying that I thought that was pretty likely if on a close below this medicine bag, and in fact we closed below it on Monday and then right down for the rest of the week. Now Friday, even though it felt very scary, I mean, it ended on kind of a bullish looking candle just on the daily here. We have a pretty little dragonfly doji. Now that doesn't mean that price can't go lower. It certainly can. But that is, if you're bullish, that is the kind of thing that you'd want to see to end the week. We still have an open gap in ES at 3184, which would be, let's see, this is the 3200 mark, so 3184 would be right around this area or so. So some dip here, and again, like as long as we bounce off of this musical note line on the daily, which is 3128, at least on Sunday night / Monday, I'm still thinking that it has a shot. Now, if it gets below, if it closes below this musical note line, rut-row, that'd be bad. That'd be bad for bulls. Bad, bad, bad. But anyway, right now, as long as we're above this musical note line, I think there's a pretty good shot at some upward moving activity. And now I'm going to talk about NASDAQ, which is where I am positioned. This is NASDAQ Futures Weekly. Now, I had been talking about, and you see that's the same thing here, by the way, right? It's a lower high and then a higher low. So it looks to me right now like triangulation. That doesn't mean that it couldn't come down here and go back up, but currently it's in a pennant. So if you draw out your own pennant, either on the weekly or daily or whatever you use, you can sort of figure out whether or not, if it does get below that pennant level, which would, like, very simply, honestly, just below this previous low. If it gets below that, then you're going to want to say, well, am I a buyer here? Do I believe this will bounce? Or do I think it's going all the way here? Now, I do think that price is going to retest this pink line, but I don't know when. That's one reason I don't do options. I'm not a timer. That's another reason I scale in. And also, but for now, it's very possible that we actually go higher here before coming back and testing this line. So I'm keeping my options open. Last week, let me show you the daily and I'll talk about what I did. So last week, you saw me bullish for a good, 24 hours. So actually, so right here, I started getting a little bit bullish and saying, hey, you know what? I think we're going to come back and retest this robot line, which we did. So then I flipped back then, and then I rode that down. I did try to get a little fancy early in the morning on Friday. I thought, oh, well, I think maybe. But it was not to be. And alas, we came back down to this gift line, at which point I flipped again because I thought, first of all, it was the end of a week and it was the end of a month. And whenever we are so lucky to get a Friday that is the end of the week and the end of the month, that is the very best time, especially if we've sort of had a trend going on. That is the very best time to counter trend. Why? Because it is super unlikely that a monthly and a weekly both do not have bottom tails. It's just unlikely. It's just not something that happens very often. So I flipped long at the gift pivot, and then I, at the end of the day, went back to a core short position of just, I don't want to tell you, so of 1/3 of my normal swing. So why did I do that? Because we're above this gift pivot. Well, because I didn't like the fact that I had to wait until a Friday and an end of month in order to get that bounce. Now, so currently I am 1/3 of a position short, and I am looking, believe it or not, unless this is my current plan is to flip long. Now, I don't know if it's going to happen Sunday night or Monday or Tuesday, but it will very likely happen before we get the results of the election. Here's why. Now, if you watched the interview yesterday, you got the macro take from a freaking genius. But here's why I think that. Because I ran a couple polls, and I know, you know what, I don't actually like to mix politics with finance, believe it or not. Like, because you know what? I have an opinion, everybody has an opinion, but it doesn't matter to me what other people's opinions are. I still like you. If I like you as a person, I'm going to get along with you no matter what. So I don't like to, and a lot of times it's such a very divisive thing to talk about that I just like to stay away from it. Anyway, I ran a couple polls and I said, who do you think is going to win? Trump or Biden? And then it was Trump stocks up, Trump stocks down, Biden stocks up, Biden stocks down. And the interesting thing about my poll is it came out at around 50-50. I thought that was weird because normally the people that, I've seen other polls on FinTwit and it's been skewed towards President Trump, but mine was actually pretty 50-50. The thing that I found the most interesting is people did think that stocks would go, a grand majority, almost 70% thought that stocks would go up afterwards. Now, what does that mean compared to yesterday? It could mean that potentially if stocks do go up, that would be the opportunity of a lifetime to take another stab at the short, right? So if, for example, I actually ran a poll maybe 2 weeks ago saying, what do you think the odds are of a 10% correction before the election? And people were like, wah, wah. Like, y'all weren't excited about that. So I was like, ooh. So that is actually when I was feeling a lot more confident in my short when I did that. But and not that I'm counter trending people, I just try to get a grand sentiment. I don't even I look at the poll results, but also I look at a lot of the responses, and I read everything. I try. It got hard when I got a little more followers, because sometimes the Twitter app doesn't show me stuff. Like I have to go in and like search for it. But anyway, at that time, I thought people were thinking that there was no way we would correct. People were talking about a cup and handle. By the way, I still will go to battle with anybody who thinks this is a double top. And even the ES chart. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? That is not a double top. Furthermore, it wasn't a cup and handle. What I said before is it's a bull flag, and if it breaks down, that's bearish. And it was. But not a cup and handle unless you're tilting your head and you drink out of weird ass cups. Not a cup and handle. Same thing with the NASDAQ. Going back to this chart. Okay, so anyway, my plan this week is to buy the effing dip. And I hope that we get Danny DeVito's shoulder and get back to the rocket. Oh, and I forgot to say, sorry. So remember I've been talking about this 3184 gap, and I've been a little bit like, whoa, when is it going to happen? Well, now, as of last week, we filled the gap in NASDAQ right away. And actually, I said on Twitter, I said, wow, that's the most bearish thing that could happen for the NASDAQ on Monday, because it went up there, it filled that gap, and then the work is done. Back down it goes. NASDAQ usually fills those gaps. SPX or ES futures did not. There is a gap now at 3450-ish. Okay? So right now we have a gap at 3184, and there's a gap at 3450. I'm going to tell you, whichever one hits first, it may go lower or it may go higher, but I'm going to reverse the crap out of it. Okay? If it goes up to the 3450 first, then I'm going to look for a place to reverse short. If it goes down to the 3184 first, then I'm going to look place to buy the F and dip. It gets down to the musical note line. This note changes every day, and look, it happens to be correlated with an MA. Let's see which MA it is. What? It's the 200 MA. Wouldn't that be convenient? Wouldn't it though? I'd love that. And the sooner it happens, the better. So I would like a little flashy crashy. That would be fantastic. I'm gonna buy the crap out of it. And everybody's talking about election uncertainty. Let me tell you, I live in Florida. State of the hanging chads. Not afraid. I am not afraid. It'll be okay. We're gonna get through this. It'll be fine, no matter who wins. And even if somebody doesn't, it may not rip up that way, but it won't, go watch the Rico video if you want to know why it may not crash if that happens. Now it might. Who knows? Nobody knows. That's just his opinion, and I happen to agree from a technical perspective. I happen to agree. So, yes. All right, now let's look at gold. Still flagalicious over here. No big dips to buy. Let me move this pivot because I got a little lazy. Ooh. So next week, if it does get down here, I mean, it's starting to look a little like, uh-oh, in terms of the MAs, because we have the 9 pointing down, although the 20 is still pointing up, but we closed below the 20. Now we're still way above the 50. I mean, we haven't retested it since way back here. But if we did get a dip here, depending on where the dollar is, oh, where's my dollar chart? I wanted to talk about it. Oh, there it is. Sorry, I'm a little out of it. Don't care. Continuing on, let's look at the dollar. So I had drawn out this resistance, and I said it's an interim resistance here, and so I'd expect some consolidation or pullback. Wow, look at that. I don't suck as far as like charting goes. I mean, I'm not always right, but look, that was pretty good resistance. Anyway, I still do want the dollar to get way back up to this Martini line, and I'm not going to freak out if it does. Now, if it gets above the Martini line, well, that might be a thing to consider, and then we'll talk about it. But I just want another back test of this Martini line. Don't know if we'll get it or not. Don't know if before that happens we'll get a nice shoulder here or more consolidation. But eventually I'm looking for price to go to this martini line. If not, then I think another test of this might hold, it might not, but it's still looking very bearish for me if that happens. Right now we're above RSI resistance. If we can hold there, good, good, good. But it looks like we had some very slight bearish divergence, which means, what? It might do this. It might do the thing. We'll have to see. This might be Arnold. This might be Danny DeVito. If you don't follow me when I was inebriated and posting pictures of that, I don't even know what to say. But anyway, that's what I'm expecting. Martini, pink martini. Okay, so if that pink martini happens, there is a chance that gold could get back down to this pink line. And if so, I think that would be a very good place to scale in. Right now, it closed the week right on RSI support. Look at that, almost perfect. So, you know, maybe it'll bounce from here. I don't know. Like I said, you know, if you're a scaler, none of these dips are bad to buy if you feel that the price will go up eventually. I feel that it will. I feel that it has more to go, but I could absolutely be wrong. The rest of the year could be a crap show for gold. I don't know. Now, with silver, when price got down here, somebody tweeted at me, they're like, now can I buy the dip? And I was like, sure you can, because if you don't, then I think that price actually might get pretty significantly lower. I don't know whether that person bought or not. I still did not buy. I am still being a little bit of a greedy pig. I am still thinking that none of these, I'm just thinking this price action hasn't scared anybody out of it. Maybe it wasn't meant to. Maybe it's just a time correction rather than a price correction. Sometimes, because of a human nature, when there's a time correction, like what happened with GE, when it's just for the longest time, that shakes out the weaklings. It doesn't necessarily need a price correction if there's a long enough time correction to get the people who are like, man, this is not going anywhere, which is why I sold right up here, by the way, because I didn't want my money stuck in silver while I could be doing other things with it. But anyway, a lot of times when there is a time correction, it will shake out the weak links without a price correction. So I'm just being a little bit greedy here. Am I going to be upset if I have to buy silver on a breakout? Nope. Nope. Sure not going to be upset about that. Don't even care, because either it's silver to the freaking moon or it's going to just do the thing that it does that's just not going to go anywhere. So it doesn't impact me one way or the other. I'm still 1/3 long. It's fine from down here. So it's fine. It's fine. I don't care. That's just my personal investment philosophy. I haven't been actively scalping up and down. I mean, I'm sure there was a lot of opportunities here, but I just don't do that in the metals very much anymore. I used to with gold all the time. Not so much anymore. Let's talk about Natty. This is the ugliest chart I've ever done in my whole life. Let me get rid of it. The stuff. Okay. So last week, if you remember, I said if there was a dip, I was going to buy it. And I already was 1/3 into a FOMO scale, and I did buy more. Yeah, so because I said this was a higher high than before, and I zoomed out here and look at this. I still think it's going way up here. I think it's even going to get higher than before. Do I know if it's going to happen in a straight line? No, it probably won't. It surely won't. It's Natty. It's going to scare the bejesus out of people. So this week, again, if it does dip back down and fill this gap that it left, just, by the way, like over a day, if it does come back down here, I'm going to buy more. I'm going to buy more because look, it's bullish. And if it comes down here, it might be just testing this 9 MA. So I'm ready to buy the dip. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I like it. And it still looks like it might have what some people who chart would say was a bearish divergence. Is it a bearish divergence? No. Here, let me tell you why. Because if price goes higher, that divergence completely disappears. Oh. That's why you can't really know about divergence. At least you can look at a 2-point divergence and say, is it though? It's possible divergence, not actual divergence yet. So that's that. Now let's look at Joe Coffee. I mean, am I thrilled with this price action? Nope. Sure am not thrilled with this price action. Am I deterred from thinking that it's bullish as F? Nope. Now, a lot of people wouldn't look at this chart and say it's bullish as F. Now, I still think it is. Unless it gets below this previous low here at, and I said last week, 30.67-ish, then I'm going to start to get worried. But as of right now, that looks pretty good to me. It's on RSI support exactly, which means actually if I were investing for the first time, and I actually might do a second scale. I think I will. I just made that decision. That's good. This is how I plan my trades. Actually, so if it opens up right around here, I'm going to probably add a second scale. I'm underwater on my first scale, and then I will just stop out of my second scale if the weekly makes a new low. That's what I'm going to do. That's my plan. That's a good plan. I like that plan. I'm going with it. All right, that's it. I'm going to make myself big. Thank you again for subscribing to my YouTube channel and liking my videos. And just thank you also for being very good, supportive people and helping each other. And I just like you so much. Okay, anyway, hope you have a great week. This is so exciting. Are you excited? I'm excited. I'm super nervous. I don't actually want to buy the dip at all. That's why I'm going to. Yeah, because I really hate that idea a lot. Okay, that's it. Take care, and I'll see you on the interwebs. Okay, bye.